Okay. So I think you all know and heard a bunch about me already. So maybe I would love to go around and maybe everyone just introduce yourself or say what branch you're in, or really anything you want. And I will just go around on what it looks like on my Zoom screen. And Udi, I think you could be first. But you have to unmute.
Okay, so yeah, thanks so much, Matt, for this event, which is extremely nice and a lot of sense. Yeah, I think maybe apart from you, maybe I'm almost the youngest one here, I think. So yeah, that's what I see according to what I know. But okay, for an interesting thing. Okay, we do have a passport with a J of my mother that we keep, the same you show us, which is okay. I have to open the door, so maybe I'll flip to Eitan and then I'll come again.
Okay. Although Eitan's driving.
So I think I just say my name is Eitan, and I think the most important person, if she likes to speak, and I would like her to speak first before, because people will not have patience for everybody, is Ora Kedem, because I think she knows a lot about our Katz branch more than any of us. So if it's okay with you, Matt, other than saying really thank you so much for all your investigation and efforts, I enjoyed everything. I wish to ask Ora to speak and to tell us something of what she wants to say. So
But
thank
is
you,
Ora
Matt.
here? Is Ora here?
Not that I know of.
That's what I'm wondering.
Totally. And after that stuff is washed, you'll see there are boxes in there.
Mom?
Micha is here. He's her son.
Bill
Right.
got scarred a few days ago. Yeah. So I had Martin remove all of his bedding.
Mom, you're talking.
Hi,
We can hear you.
can you hear me?
Yes, but it's not your turn.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Typical, right?
Okay. Anyway, Eitan, we would love to hear from Ora, but I don't have any sense that she's here.
Okay, so what I can say is that we are really excited. We have done some trips, family trips to Vienna to see sources where our family was located. We found the apartment. It was in Porzellangasse 53. We know that the place was many times engaged, and on Saturday evenings with many family members playing cards and telling stories and jokes. And the family flew. My family divided to two. My grandmother's family flew to some of it to United States, to Manhattan, and we found ourselves. I mean, my mother found herself in Israel, and she first was separated from her parents. She lived for some time in Switzerland. And then she went to Trieste, and from Trieste she met her parents and mother, from which she was separated, and all of them gathered together and then traveled on a ship to Israel. That's how they immigrated to Israel. The Ora went a different way. She had a ship that left the Danube into the Black Sea, with some of the family members. Some of the family members did not believe that this is needed to flee Vienna. They felt safe. So, they never saw them anymore. And Ora and both her sisters, and I think their descendants are on this Zoom. Maybe they want to say a few more words.
Thank you. Great. Okay. Thank you, Eitan. Udi, did you want to continue? And mention also just the name of your grandparents, so we have a little context in the tree.
Okay. So the name of the grandparents is Aryeh, who is, I think, known to most of the people here. He was called Leibele. This is what's Leibele Katz. He was the youngest person from the older brothers. So he lived with us actually as girlfriend for many years in the same house that we are living in. One of our 3 boys is named after him, Aryeh. Guy is named after Aryeh. We did not knew personally our grandmother because she died before on the 40s, 43 maybe. So we did met Mali, her name. So this is something about this. And I think on family events, we used to meet quite a few of the people that are around here. Not much anymore, but this is why Zoom is helping us doing this now. So and maybe another nice detail that all 4 children of ours are having this opportunity of having an Austrian passport. So they or all the children, not me, but all of them, they do have a new Austrian citizenship.
Good job. Thank you. Susan?
Okay, I'm Susan Denner, and I'm related the exact same way Matt is. My grandfather, Oscar, and Matt's grandfather, Freddie, were brothers. And so I've been close to Matt my whole life. We've known each other very well. My father is probably the only living Holocaust survivor in the family. Is that correct?
Ora.
Oh, except for Ora, that's right, who I never met before.
And Yessi.
Yessi Hidner.
Yeah, Yessi passed away, I thought. Didn't she?
No, she's 101 years old.
I'm sorry, I got bad information. Okay. So anyway, my dad had to flee from Austria at the age of 4 with his parents into Belgium, and then they made their way into France when Hitler came to Belgium. And my father was hidden on a farm with his mother and his grandfather, and my grandfather was nearby at a work camp. And then my grandfather, along with Otto Katz and his brother Ziggy, fled. They escaped from the camp and they hid for the rest of the war at like an insane asylum. And after the war, part of the war, my father was in a Catholic orphanage when things got very dangerous in the area where he was hiding. And then after the war, like 2 years after or so, they got their permission to come to the US and they moved to the US. And about me, I live in Florida right now in the US, but I'm originally from the Washington, DC suburbs. And I believe, is the piano player on the call by any chance?
I think she is. Manuela?
I
Manuela?
am here.
Okay, good.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lived in Potomac, Maryland.
Yeah.
So
I
we're
didn't
practically neighbors, and who even knew? But about 6 or 7 years ago, we moved down to Florida because after the snowmageddon, we couldn't take it anymore. And so that's my story.
And you are actually also in touch with the family who hid your father and your grandmother.
Yeah, in fact, I just recently sent paperwork to Yad Vashem to get them recognized for having saved my father and grandmother, and at the time also my great-grandfather, who passed away just for natural causes during the war. And I also just recently got my Austrian citizenship too, thanks to Matt.
Thank you. Well, since you're neighbors on my Zoom screen and I believe neighbors in Florida, Elazar Katz.
Sure. So to place myself into the family tree, I'm the son of Jacob Katz.
Okay.
I'll continue in 1 second. So I'm the son of Jacob Katz, who's the brother of Ora Kedem and Marga Kedem.
Hmm.
And my children are Noam and Michal. And Jacob, my father, passed away a few years ago. And a few months before he passed away, Yael, my sister, who wanted to be here, but at the last minute couldn't attend. So Yael and my wife and I and a Filipino aide took my father with a wheelchair to visit Vienna. And of course, we visited the house where he lived, but he thought, as long as we're there, we'll take him to the Viennese opera. And of course, tickets are booked like a year in advance, but hey, we give it a shot. And I went to talk to the manager and he said, listen, we've got a handicap place for him and an aide. And if anything comes up, we'll call you tonight. And sure enough, the night before, she called me and said, listen, there's a whole balcony, private balcony that people canceled, and you can have that. And of course, we bought the tickets and we went to the opera. And my father said, you know, I just realized that this is 80 years to the day that we saw the Marriage of Figaro, that I saw this as a 14-year-old. So it was quite an experience. And I don't know why it suddenly became so emotional, but it's certainly a pleasure to meet all of you. And of course, I recognize Riki and Rachel and familiar faces. Thank you, Matt, for doing this.
Thank you very much for
Elazar?
that story.
Elazar, where do you live in Florida?
In Boynton Beach,
Oh, okay. I live in Highland Beach, you know?
we are very close to each other.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo te estaba buscando hace media hora, pero
Okay. Thank you very much. Miriam, do you want to say hi?
Hi. I don't have just now any story to match anything we've heard. Maybe later, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's very interesting.
Okay. And just tell us the name of your grandparents, who's the Katz connection.
I'm the granddaughter of Miriam Katz, who married Moshe Bikel. And I'm the daughter of Ruth, who married Moshe Greenberg. And that's it.
Thank you. So from the Joseph Katz branch.
Matt, if I can just jump in, because Micha in the chat asked to add Ora Kedem. Micha, we can't add, but if you can get the link to her and someone can help her click on the link, she can join.
Okay, I'll try.
Thanks. Peter?
Yes, first of all, Matt, you have done a fantastic job. So I'm the son, and my sister Paulette is also attending the Zoom meeting. We are the children of Walter Weinreb, which was the youngest of the Pinchas Solomon and Amalia Katz children. My father escaped from Vienna to Belgium, and from there, my parents, after they had married, they left for the south of France, and then to Portugal, where they arrived in April 1942, and I was born there. I made Aliyah to Israel about 8 years ago. I met a few times Ora Kedem and her husband Abraham. I also visited Ora when her husband passed away during the Shiva, and I think on that occasion I made the acquaintance of Micha Kedem and his sister Ilana, which I believe lives on the Golan Heights. I've been working together a little bit or contributing to this search with Matt, and I don't know what I should tell you further. I think I'm very, very moved about this event. I was regularly in touch with Jessie Hübner, and she told me once that before the Nazis came to Vienna, there were about 300 family members that settled in Vienna. And they were all coming from Galicia. And what I can tell you also is that about 4 years ago, I made a trip to Galicia, to Eastern Galicia and to Bukovina. I went to places like Stri, where I think the father of Ora Kedem was born. I went also to Lvov. I went to Stanislav, and so that's it. I go every once in a while to Vienna, and we are working, Matt and I, on a project to repair the graves of my grandparents and my great-grandmother. As far as Matt is concerned, it's one level up. And before that, about 30 years ago, no, over 30 years ago, there was another project where we had several graves repaired, one of them being the one of Leibel Katz, of Berl Weinreb. Okay, the picture is there. By the way, Leib Katz was a Cohen. And I guess that many of the Katzes are Cohens.
Yes.
So I don't know much more to say. I had a telephone conversation with Eitan Galoun a number of months ago, and I checked and I found out that I had visited both his parents and the parents of Ehud in Rehovot about probably 12 years ago. And I still remember that their father was smoking the pipe all the time, and Eitan confirmed that. So it's on the humanistic side of it. And obviously, what else can I say? I met also, I spent about 4 months in Vienna between beginning of December of 1959 and April 1960. And on that occasion, I think I met the parents of Sonia Rothenberg, or maybe it was later on another trip to Vienna. And I was in touch with them.
Great, thank you. And I'll just give context. If you look at your family tree, that Peter and Susan and I and my mother, all these people, we are all from two branches.
And Paulette.
And Paulette, we're all from two branches, Isaac and Yenta, 2 children, because their children married each other, not uncommon in our family or many others, first cousins marrying. So actually all of you in the Joseph Katz branch, we are double cousins.
That's why we're not always normal.
Thank you. Veronica. Thank you for rearranging your work so you could be here.
That's okay. It's lovely to meet everybody again. I'm Veronica. My grandmother was Leontine Katz. She married Moritz Polak. And my dad was born in Vienna. And I don't know whether they came to Vienna before their parents, or if their parents came and they followed. I'm very confused about that, because there seemed to be a load of the older generation beyond my grandparents who died in Vienna, and that's an interesting sort of who came first. Anyway, they were working in Vienna, and they didn't go to Israel. They were very ill, I think, what he said, very tired and not sure what to do. And they sent him off on the Kindertransport to England in 1938 on his own, age 13. And one of my grandmother's, one of the Samuel cousins, Uncle Jack, we called him, was meant to sponsor the family, but I think he panicked and pulled out. So it's only my dad that made the trip. And he ended up in a place in Scotland, which was going to be training him to be a kibbutznik, a market gardener. And he was an academic, really, so he wasn't that keen on being a kibbutznik. So he started educating himself and went to university and made an academic life for himself. And I've got, well, I had 2 brothers. One of my brothers died this year, and he had he's got 2 children. So that's my family, really. And I have been to Israel a couple of times and met Ora and Misha and Ilana and their children, and really enjoyed it. But I feel like I need to go back now and meet everybody else, the Gallons and the whoever else is on here. It'd be so nice to meet you and have and Jakob's son, I've forgotten your name already. I remember your father, and I thought he was an absolutely lovely person, very, very sweet. And I met Litty as well, and she taught me how to peel an orange properly in Jaffa. So I met the older generation when I was about 13. I went over to Israel, and I've got very happy memories of it.
Where do you live now?
I live in Bristol. I was born in Sheffield because my dad eventually got a professorship in Sheffield. And I remember there's a picture of Litty and her husband at Chatsworth. And your Litty was a beautiful, beautiful woman. And there she is sitting there looking beautiful. And her husband looks very handsome. And I'm about 2 in the picture. And it's such a gorgeous picture. Anyway, there you go. That's something I don't remember, but I've got a picture of it. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Sonia.
My name is Sonia Rottenberg, and I am the daughter of Jolanta Weinreb. Well, actually Jolanta Jalot, but she was born Weinreb, and granddaughter of Ella and Eli Weinreb. Eli, my grandfather, whom I never met, he died before the Second World War started, was the brother of Pinker Solomon. That's right, Matt?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So my mother and my grandmother left Vienna in 38, 39, and they actually went to England. Well, it's a little more complicated, but they ended up in England. And my mother married a Czech, well, actually a Jewish man who was from the Sudeten Deutschland. Sudeten, he came from the Sudeten Bohemia. And they married in England in 1944. And my father wanted to go back to Czechoslovakia. My mother wasn't too crazy about it, but she did go. And so I actually grew up in Prague, Czechoslovakia, where I was born. And I never knew that I have all these cousins. In 68, 69, my parents emigrated from Czechoslovakia to Austria, to Vienna. So my mother ended up in her birthplace. And I now live in Chicago, which has nothing to do with anything but the fact that I married an American man. And that's how I ended up in Chicago. Otherwise, I probably would have been in Vienna and probably would have never met any of you, although I think when Matt started to do all this research, he probably would have found me. But anyway, Matt, thank you for doing all this. And we had a lovely, what you call reunion, but I call getting to know my cousins in California in June. And it was lovely to meet some of you there.
Thank you very much. And I will add that Sonia is also actually from two different branches of the Katz family, from Yenta and Marcus, because her grandparents were also cousins. See, such a close family. Okay, thank you. Ricky?
Okay, so I'm Ricky. I'm Marga Lentz's daughter, and she came to Israel in 1938 with the youth movement, and her brother Yaakov, Azar's father, came before her, and then her parents and Ora, like you heard on that ship. And I'm actually a descendant of two of those brothers and sisters you showed, Yosel and Mechel, who's called Chaim Mechel, nicknamed Mechel. And so, because my parents are second cousins. And I'm also related to Rachel Goldman, who is here, Fela's daughter, on both sides, the same relation. And I have a sister, Rachel, also, lots of Rachelot in the family, and she's not here. We also went to Vienna with my mother in 96, I think. It was also very emotional. Although she came to Israel before the actual war, she was there in the Kristallnacht, and she told us things and stories that we never heard before. She couldn't tell them, obviously, only there. So it was very moving. And that's more or less what I have to relate.
Thank you.
By the way, if I might add something, I visited your mother in an old age home, I think in Kfar Saba.
In Kfar Saba, yes. Yes, she died in 2012.
Yes, and she was very alert.
Yes, completely. I know, I know. I'm glad you got a chance to meet her.
I met her there too as well, and she bought me dinner. She bought me lunch.
Yeah. you know, Veronica, yeah. I always heard about your father and Eitan and Udi's mother. They were both only children with no brothers and sisters. So they attached themselves to Yaakov, my mother, and Ola, and they thought they were a fourth and fifth brother, and they were there all the time. I know they grew up like sort of like brothers and sisters.
That's what I heard.
Although they were only cousins.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
I think Ora is on the Zoom now.
Yes, so I've just let Ora and Simon back in. and great to see both of you. We're just, oh, I think, right, Ora, is silent. Let's, until Ora just needs to, I think she's talking. If somebody's with her, to unmute.
Ora, you should unmute.
I'll try.
Hello,
calling
Aura.
No,
Hello, Aura. Long time no see. It's lovely to see you.
But she's in the dinner time, so we have to be.
Okay, you can speak.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes, you're unmuted now.
Ah, good.
Lovely,
Shalom.
lovely to see. Shalom, lovely to see you.
Hello.
We're all just talking and
Hello,
doing
Aura.
introduction. If you want to say hello, this is all cousins, all related to you in the Katz family.
The gentleman who is now speaking, I don't
Yes.
know, but for Matt, it seems to me it says much time, but it's a young man.
Me?
Matt, it says much time,
Yes.
and the time shows me a young man. Okay,
He is a young
Well,
man.
he is a young
thank you,
Good.
thank you.
He's a generation, a lower generation.
No, almost no one says
yeah.
that to me anymore. Ora, I emailed with you more than a year ago a couple of times.
Yes, yes, I read all of it, and I answered only rarely, but I did. Okay, now
Okay.
I see.
All right. We're just
And-
all saying hello and talking about the family.
Yes.
And there are cousins here from your branch of Joseph Katz, but also from the other branches of the family too around the world.
Well, I know that Veronica should be in from England.
She's here.
I'm here, Aura. Lovely to see you.
Shalom, Veronica.
Hello, Aura.
Yes, I see you. Wow, that's nice.
It is nice, isn't it? Sorry to interrupt your lunch, dinner, whatever it is, lunch,
Okay.
dinner. Yep.
All right. So maybe we'll continue, and we'll come back to we'll come back to you in a few minutes, Aura, to say something.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll let you enjoy your good. Paulette. Yeah.
Okay, I don't have much to say, only that I'm very happy to assist to this Zoom and to thank you for what you are doing, Matt. And my brother told already everything, but I know very little about the family. My father never spoke much, only from his brothers and sister, and he didn't mention much about the cousins. So I cannot say much. Peter knows much better than I do, and that's all. I'm happy to assist to this Zoom.
Where are you?
I'm in Belgium, and I have the COVID.
Oh, it sounded like you were a little bit sick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
and
no.
you saw Stephen. Okay, so Susan's brother Stephen was in
yeah,
Belgium
he was,
a few days ago, right?
And he was supposed to come back here tomorrow, and he canceled the trip because I'm sick.
All right. Feel
He's
better.
going directly back.
Okay. Feel better. Thank you. Emanuela?
Hi, everyone.
Thank
you, Matt, again. I know some of the people here, but I think most of the people are new to me. I am, like my sister Miriam, who spoke before briefly, I'm the daughter of Ruth Grimberg, Moshe Grimberg, who was the daughter of Miriam Katz. So I'm from that branch of the family. I've been living in Potomac for the past 19 years. The lady who asked me before.
Susan, yeah.
Oh, hi,
Susan.
yeah. So we we did live here at the same time, but we never met. Maybe we met and didn't know that we were related. My sister and I were born in Bucharest because our mother, I think during the war, or for her studies for university, moved to Bucharest. This is where, I know that this is where she met our father, Moshe. They married and lived there, and this is where we were born. We moved to Israel in 1962. I know that when we were growing up in Israel, the family, especially this branch of the family, met regularly. And it was always very nice meeting everybody. Now, since we have another 1 or 2 generations that follow us, and since I and my family have been living in the US for quite a few years, we haven't stayed in touch with them, but so it's nice to see everybody. I remember Veronica, we never met, but I remember that your father and your brother Brian visited Israel, and they actually stayed with us for a few days. And
1967.
This, so it's nice meeting you now.
And nice to meet you too. It's 1967 they came over.
Yeah. After the 6-day war, I remember we all the whole family went to the airport to pick them up. It was such an exciting event. And then they stayed with us, I mean, with our parents and Miriam and I for a few days. So I remember that. Our son Alon is back in Israel. He's been there for the past 15 years, and he now lives in Haifa, I understand, not far from Micha Kedem. And so that's it.
See?
Thank you very much. Micha.
Hi. So I'm Ora's son, who is 98. My uncle was Yaakov Katz, Elazar's father, and my aunt was Marga Katz, Ricky's mother. I don't have Austrian citizenship. I don't think I will. So, as someone said here, yes, my mother came to Palestine in a ship that traveled all the way from on the Danube, all the way from Vienna to Haifa, where the ship was captured. The people were moved to another ship, which was bombed by the Jewish Haganah, Jewish militants. The ship sank, and my mother and her parents survived the ship and arrived in a camp in Israel, from which they were released later on. I live in Haifa. My mother actually lives close to me. Actually, my parents moved. They moved to Haifa in order to be close to me, and now my mother lives like 5 minutes from where I live. Okay, your turn. Ora.
Going on for one more generation, Micha's daughter, I've seen her a lot, 2 days ago the last time, and she, in contrast to many of us, she is in music, something else, not an engineer, not a scientist, in music. like you? No, not like you, but like Miriam and Michaela, right?
Emanuela.
Emanuela, and we were at the wedding of whom? Who was
Alon.
there?
Alon, who now lives in Haifa.
Wow, that's a chance to come and say hello. Not loud. Not
We'll
right.
be there in December for 2 weeks.
So be sure to get in contact.
Definitely, definitely.
I don't want to.
Okay. Well, it's really lovely to see you, Aura.
Hello. Yeah.
And I hope sometime I actually have many more questions I would like to ask you if I can sometime.
Nothing in my life should be put off because there's not a lot of time left, I suppose.
Okay.
I'm 98 plus.
But you're not the oldest.
Okay.
Not in the Katz family, still with us. Maybe sometime, Mika, we can try to have a Zoom, a small one, and talk about some things with Aura.
Sure, of course.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Peter Brook, would you like to say hi?
Yeah, thanks, Matt, and thanks for all you've done to bring us back into contact with the wider family. I suppose my connection is through the Fager Katz branch, which you showed originally. Fager would have been my father's great grandmother. He was brought up in Vienna by Alexander Horowitz, his grandparents Alexander and Blanca, and so the connection there was through Alexander. Yeah, that's right. So my father came to England in January 1939, and that's recently found the papers from when he arrived. He should have been en route to Palestine as a young pioneer. He was 18 when he escaped from Vienna, but instead he stayed in England. And because the war broke out, he couldn't travel, so he stayed in England. Met my mother. They married in 1950. My mother was a Cohen from Wales, from South Wales, and on my mother's side, my second cousin is Sacha Baron Cohen, who some of you might have heard of, played Ali G and a few other characters. And I also Simon Baron Cohen as well, who's an eminent autism chair at Cambridge. But on my father's side, his younger sister Hannah, he at the same time he escaped to London, his younger sister Hannah went to Haifa, and she lived in Haifa from 1940 until 2016 when she passed away. And she was 93, Hannah, and her husband Shmuel, he died a couple of years ago in Haifa. He escaped from Germany, and my dad had an older sister, Felicity, who went to California. So her family in LA, Calabasas, that area. But in Israel, Hannah had a son Amnon and daughter Sandra, who've both been very much in touch with Matt. They have family in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv, so it's really exciting to see the branches here. I live in Portsmouth, and I'm currently I'm in Oxford. I'm working at the moment at Oxford University, and that's where I'm broadcasting from today. And it's really exciting also to see Veronica on this call, who of course is in Bristol, not far. It's great, and we've got to meet up soon, and it's really exciting to see the connections there. My dad always talked about the
Really,
Katz
yeah.
family. He talked about people like Willy Katz and others, and he always talked about that. I mean, he lived in Vienna from 1923 to 1939. He was actually born in Drahovich, in the Lviv area, and I think a lot of his side of the family originally came from that Lviv and Stry and places that have been mentioned today, but then they were brought up in Vienna. And what he and Hannah talked about was a really vibrant household of his grandparents, Alexander and Blanca. They had lots of people dropping in all the time, and he would have known, I mean, the cousins at that time, including Herb, of course, and who had memorial service recently at House from America, yeah. Sorry. So anyway, I'll pause there. But it's so interesting to meet up and the wider branches, and of course others in the Sam Katz branch, who I've met more recently in the UK, and who originally, of course, had a role in helping to facilitate my father's older sister entry to the UK when she was the first to escape as domestic care in members of the Katz family in the UK. Thanks to Samuel having come here earlier. So the connections are so important here as to why our previous generations survived, and then we're still representing them around the world. So thank you.
Thanks, Peter. And yeah, 3 years ago, I know that I had exactly 0 family in England, nobody. And it really turns out that almost every Katz branch has somebody, if not a lot of people, in England. So I'm coming to visit sometime. Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
I think maybe the last person we have, is that Sandra on an iPad, who keeps appearing and disappearing from the Zoom? But you're silent. You're silent and in the dark. Do you want to say something? Hello. Shalom.
No, I don't know how to. Oh, it's not working somehow.
It's good. We hear you.
Ah,
we
you
don't
can
see
hear
you,
me?
but we hear you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good enough, because you don't have to see me. So I don't have much to add to what Peter's. I still, for me, all my life, the history of the family was like mystery.
Sorry to say, but can you say your name?
Sandra.
Sandra who?
Sandra Peses, and my mother was from the Horowitz family, and I don't know still now how exactly we are connected to Katz. It's not clear to me. It's very complicated. My mother knew she came to Vienna as a little girl, and with her sister and brother, Peter's father, and she knew a lot of people because they were living with the grandfather Horowitz. So I know she knew the Katz, several Katzes, but I never knew exactly how we are connected. I met Eitan Galun once when I was working in Hadassah Hospital as a travel agency, and I know that my mother met Kedem, Ora Kedem, and I don't know if she remember the meeting with Yessi Hibner and my mother in Rehovot. You remember it? You remember it?
Not only in
so I'm the daughter of Hannah Anita Borak from the Horowitz.
כן.
את זוכרת, יופי. I never met you. I just met Eitan. I don't know if he remembers me at the Histu travel agency. You remember, Eitan? We met? Okay.
Yes.
And I met Willy Katz. And all the branch of Katz that were living in Ramat Gan. But how we are connected exactly, I never knew. And it's getting more and more complicated for me. the whole cousins that in so far that I never met. So it's very nice.
Okay.
And I'm very happy to meet everyone, to see everyone here, and to know that I have so many relatives all over the world.
Thank you. Nice to see you. And so I'll answer that question very briefly. Right. So Sandra and Peter Brook are first cousins, right?
Yeah.
And they are both from the branch of, I think the oldest sibling, Fega Katz, who married Jacob Horowitz, right? So that is a branch, right? So Peter in England and Sandra in Israel. And then there is another branch of a sibling who is in Southern California. Okay. So
So Fega is the sister of Isaac?
Fega is the sister of Isaac, Joseph,
Joseph,
etc.
Michael.
If you look, right? Okay.
Okay.
So if you go back to the Jacob Osias Katz and Malka Reisa Schlosser, those are all Fega, Joseph, Isaac, etc., children of them. Okay. And those 8 children, I didn't say this before, had about 50, the Jacob Osias Katz and Malka Reisa Schlosser had about 50 grandchildren, right? So that's why we're all over the place. Of course, not all of them lived to adulthood, not all of them survived the Shoah, but there's still plenty of them did, and descendants. Okay, I have a message from Simone who said he could not get his audio to work. Although we could hear his audio, he could not hear us. So he says hello. I think everybody has had a chance to say hello. And I know it's been a little bit of time, but for anybody who would like to, who still has time to stay, I'm happy to just continue with some slides, a little bit more of the overview of the family, and go from there. Does that work?
Okay.
Okay. And if it's too long and you can't stay, we'll be very offended when you
Next
disappear.
time in Vienna, no, Matt. Maybe next time we'll have a meeting in Vienna. Maybe a comment. I don't know if you have this picture.
In the opera house.
In the opera house.
Say that again. Okay.
Yes. I think, and to the family, I don't know if you have this picture. I think you do have, but according to what I remember, there was an exciting marriage. It was the marriage. Rachel Goldman was here. She's not. I don't see her. Okay, so when her parents were married, yes, I think for this occasion, it was a marriage that took place, I think, in Stri, not in Vienna.
In Stri, good.
Okay, and there's a picture of all the family members, maybe 7 of them.
In 1937?
Yes. This is an exciting event. And you can see all the relatives from this branch, all the people that are 3 brothers, 4 sisters. I know that the youngest one is my grandfather who is there, but they are all in this picture, which is an exciting. Most of them came from Vienna, I think, or half of them came from Vienna to Stri, where some of them were born. So yes, this is kind of an important event for this ranch.
We're on the same wavelength.